threat of being overthrown. And they've seen it happen. They've seen it happen in Libya. They've seen it happen in Egypt. And now they want to bond with Egypt and Jordan and the other responsible countries to say, we are not going to tolerate this terrorism any longer. And if it's part of Islam, we're going to define it as outside Islam.
But let's be clear. The West behind the scenes wanted to work with radical Islam. The real leverage the Saudis now know is we're not going to work with radical Islam behind the scenes. This is a real war on it. You better pick a side right now or we're going to destabilize you and blow you off the map. You can either be modern, have the weapons, have the technology, be respected. You keep playing a double game, it's over. That's what I've been told by my army sources.
Yeah, and it's also aimed very strong at Iran, because Iran is, I think, also one of the major factors here of destabilizing the country.
And that's what got Saudi Arabia to finally get in line, is they're really fearful of Iran.
Yeah, and in fact, Iran, I think, is going to have to take the agreement that President Obama signed and rip it up, because it's not going to be followed. President Trump understands that we can't give the Iranians 10 years to build nuclear weapons. They've got to be stopped now. The two countries that are going to go on the block as soon as he comes back, I think, are North Korea and Iran. And neither one of them are going to be allowed to continue advancing as rapidly as they are to nuclear weapons. Great points.
Major geopolitical alignments happening. Thank you, Dr. Corsi.
Thank you.
Now I thought we had the guest for most of the hour, but he's got to go soon, so I'll get the caller something like 40 after or so. It's really great to have him on. I probably should have just moved him to another day, with the whole terror attack situation. But this is so important. And when I read the book a few weeks ago, I said, we've got to carry this. I got an advanced copy. Fat for Fuel, Dr. Joseph Mercola, New York Times bestselling author of Effortless Healing, a revolutionary diet to combat cancer, boost brain power, increase your energy. Now, what's crazy is he pioneered a lot of this. Suddenly, big studies are out, and Silicon Valley was in the news a few months ago saying they're obsessed with the pure fat, the uncooked fat, the clean fats, and other superfoods to live longer and to boost your brain. Stuff Mercola wrote about decades ago. It's available on Kindle, you name it. Also available at InfoWarsStore.com. Fat for Fuel. You may already know all about this, but it's great to give to friends and family. We're going to break soon, but wow, it's got to feel good, Dr. Mercola, because you are a medical doctor. You've been verified yet again as a trailblazer.
Yes, thank you. It does feel tremendous to offer a resource that's so helpful to so many. So it's really addresses some major challenges we have in this country. 50% of the people watching this are going to come down with cancer, 50% of the men, 40% of the women. And that's not skin cancer, that's serious cancer. It's going to be the leading cause of death. And we discuss the strategies on how to get your body to burn fat as a primary fuel, which is one of the most potent interventions you could have as a foundation to prevent not only cancer, but heart disease, diabetes, and obesity.
Well, I'm just sitting here reading the back of the book. I'm going to go ahead and skip this break so we have more time. And going through what you break down in here, I remember my dad, who's a physician as well, when I was a little kid going, this is bull about low-fat diets. It's the kind of fat, if you want, clean fat that hadn't been burned, that hadn't made the fats, basically become toxic molecules. That was the words he was using when I was a little kid. Now we have all these technical terms, and so this has been known for a while. It just hasn't been popularized. I know you were talking about it 30 years ago. So how did my dad 30-something years ago, 40 years ago know about this? How did you know about it? You've now collated into a book, but again, why are they now suddenly admitting you're right?
Well, your dad had that rare commodity called common sense, and I apparently didn't have it because at the same time your dad understood and I was clueless and had bought into the low-fat myth because it was supported. Okay,
so maybe you just were doing the low-fat thing a long time ago, but I remember you for a while saying...
No, I mean, we're talking the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
I definitely woke up in the 90s, but your dad, I think, understood it long before then. And even though the title of the book is Fat for Fuel, your dad also recognized it's the low-quality fat that is probably even a more pernicious toxin. So the industrialized processed vegetable oils, those will get you sicker than sugar. So we're talking about high quality.
Well, that's because he's also a chemist. He was explaining that when you burn this stuff, heat it up, change it, that it's...
Yes, it's not only trans fats, it's these cyclic aldehydes, which are now even potentially more toxic than trans fats, but now the trans fats are banned. These are the...
So when I read the headline, even on CNN, that McDonald's uses plasticizers using breast implants in nuggets, how How are they able to get away with it? I know there's now lawsuits about food additives having a grandfather clause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a categorization called GRAS, generally recognized as safe, and if substances have been around before a specific date, they're grandfathered in, unless there's very compelling scientific evidence to counter that. In some cases, that's been the case. Certainly, that was with trans fat, which is just, I think, banned or is in the process of being eliminated from the food supply.
And you agree it should be, right?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. Yeah, but we've known that for probably close to 80 years. Dr. Fred Kummerow, who's still alive at the University of Illinois, is 102 years old, is one of the original scientists that figured that out in the 30s.
Well, I'm interrupting here. Let's talk about, because I'm so excited, Fat for Fuel. I'm no beach boy, but I got really unhealthy over 15 years. I've kind of lost 60, 70 pounds, gotten a lot healthier since then, but by eating more uncooked fish, very low-cooked beef, things like that, having more micronutrients. So everything you've been writing about for decades, I now go into California Pizza Kitchen with my children saying, we have, the micronutrients, the superfoods. Whether that's true or not, you know that when even the fast food places or quasi-fast food are trying to sound like Dr. Mercola, we're turning some corner.
Yes, we are making progress. There's no question. And it was, I realized a long time ago, like you, that the solution is really to go directly to the people. If you're trying to do it through the scientific journals and the professional community, you're going to be sabotaged because there's too many entrenched interests. So we have a similar strategy. I reach millions like you do, and eventually the people get it. They start to become unbrainwashed and manipulated as they are from the traditional media.
Well, let's walk through Fat for Fuel, available at InfoWarsStore.com. Again, this is such a beautiful book, so well written, goes over it all. If you've got family, especially that seem like they're having neurological disorders, I don't want to act like I'm a doctor here. I just know that my uncle has epilepsy from a motorcycle accident, and he was told 20 years ago by his doctor, you need to have healthy, high-quality fish oils and other fats,
yes.
That are not toxic. And you know what? It made him cut his seizures even more than drugs.
It has been the standard of care for the treatment of drug-resistant seizure disorders for the last 80 years. So this is nothing new. It's been around for a long time. We just started to recently appreciate its value in the treatment of all other diseases because it really addresses the foundational issue of most diseases, which is dysfunction of the mitochondria, which are these cellular structures that generate energy to your body. And
so why is fat so important, and what types of fats are good?
Simply because your fat burns more efficiently. It's less polluted fuel, so that when you burn it as a primary fuel, you generate something less reactive oxygen species, which generates secondary less free radicals, which is what causes most of the degeneration.
So on one end, sugar is really toxic and really bad. On the other end, clean, uncooked fat is the best.
Well, it's not that quite simple. It's actually having them in the right ratios until your body's able to have the metabolic flexibility to burn either. And then one of the things we introduce is to make sure that you have adequate, not excessive protein, because not only do you have to pay attention to the quality of the fat, but you have to limit the carbs and the protein until your body's burning fat, and then you can go.
So the way I should explain it, obviously, in reading the book is like there's got to be a balance between what they call a classic Atkins diet or paleo or whatever. You've gone to the science to find the best type of real diet.
Yes, because if you don't cycle this, if you just go on straight nutritional ketosis, that could be even more damaging. You'll basically starve to death almost, and your body will start to deteriorate. So once you've transitioned, and we discuss how to do that in the book by measuring ketones, which are these water-soluble fats that penetrate really easily to the brain and nourish your cells really efficiently with less reactive oxygen species. Once you're doing that, then you can have feast days where you have a lot of healthy carbs, like sweet potatoes. Today I did some heavy lifting, so I do that 2 or 3 times a week, and on those days I have a fairly significant amount of healthy carbs and extra protein to build muscle mass. So it's a really easy food choice to integrate into your program, and it really addresses almost every single chronic degenerative disease we know as a foundational strategy.
Well, that makes sense because I myself, I got really big, up like over 280 pounds, now down to like 230 something. I'm still a big guy. But a diet works for a while and then it stops working, and that's what your book gets into. You got to take a spectrum of natural diets and then cycle through them because the only thing that's constant is change.
Yeah, this is not a standard set of rules that we recommend for everyone. It's just really guidelines, and within those guidelines, you customize it according to your strategy. Like so for the 70% of the people in the country are overweight, they may want to integrate other metabolic strategies, such as fasting and intermittent fasting, and even going on to fast for 3, 5, 7 days, maybe even longer, can jumpstart the process at which your body starts to burn fat as its primary fuel, and can be a very powerful and really inexpensive intervention. It doesn't cost anything to not eat.
Well, here's my problem with fasting. I've done it 3 or 4 days at a time.
Yes.
I've never been into drugs or anything. I get hired in a kite and start bouncing off the walls about day 3 or 4.
Yeah, well, usually most people have trouble about day 2 or 3, but it gets easier after that. But then you can go back on having food. So fasting is voluntary. Starvation is not.
No, I understand.
You had the total flexibility to eat food whenever you.
But I mean, as you said, studying history, I know you've written about this. For humans are normally feast or famine, right? We're not supposed to just always have a ton of food or always have none.
We only recently have had access to food 24/7 for the vast majority of human existence. We've had really significant amounts of times where we didn't have access to food. So our genetics, our biochemistry, our metabolism is designed for that, to really have that intermittent types of approaches with calories and eating. So if you eat continuously, as most people do, that shifts your metabolism to really burning carbohydrates, or glycogen as your primary fuel source, which has enormous metabolic adverse consequences.
Well, Doc, the book is Fat for Fuel, and I've read, I don't know, hundreds of news articles about the best type of diets and 7 or 8 books about it. And I got to tell you, the reason I love the book is it isn't one diet, it isn't one formula. It's a spectrum of the science and what works for people to decide with their own metabolic system, their own family history, what works best for them. And that's why I think it's the book. I think you've written out of thousands of books, the book out there.
Well, it's not just that I wrote it. Most books are written by one author, and it's their impressions and ideas.
That's right. It's a big research document.
But what I did was I sent it out to 24 of the top experts in the world in this area. So it's really peer-reviewed. It's a consensus. It's not just my ideas. The science is really valid and accurate, and it's rock solid. So they're going to get major benefits by doing this, and it's there's a consensus among the scientific researchers in recommending this type of approach.
All right, we're going to go to break. We only got like 10 more minutes left with you. When we come back, then I'm going to go to phone calls. But again, Dr. Mercola, I don't need to introduce you to folks. Most people know who you are. When we come back, I want to talk more about the book, but also briefly, the state of the fight to have supplements, vitamins, minerals, nutrients, because I see so much demonization, more than ever, against even mainline supplements. I've even had news articles demonizing us now for selling organic shampoo. They're even demonizing selling shampoo now. So there seems to be like a new level of kind of the Empire Strikes Back. Seemed like for a while, people like you were leading the fight to win, to get GMO labeling and to wake up. And I think because you're winning so big, they're now counter-striking. I want to see if you think I'm right. Straight ahead, I'm Alex Jones with Dr. Mercola. Stay with us.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
InfoWars has partnered with Defender Body Armor to bring you a new state-of-the-art line of advanced, highly tested body armor from InfoWarsStore.com. Defender Body Armor is certified to protect against all handgun rounds, even armor-piercing FN 5.7 pistol rounds. The secret to Defender Body Armor is its proprietary process and technology that disperses more kinetic energy at a rate higher than any other traditional body armor, using one of the strongest synthetic materials ever created, called ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. Defender Armor is also super compact and lightweight. There's a reason the Department of Defense chose Defender to manufacture their new line of advanced lightweight armor. It works. Defender Body Armor is made right here in America and has received the highest level ballistic resistance certification from an authorized NIJ ballistic laboratory. Defender Body Armor is now available through InfoWarsStore.com, so you can defend yourself, your family, and finance the info war against the globalists all at the same time. A total 360 win.
This is the InfoWars Power Pack, and it can start your car if it has a dead battery. And now we're going to use the Power Pack to jumpstart this truck. And we're going to show you. Switch on the Power Pack. Wait a few minutes, and then you'll be able to start your car. With just a few minutes on the InfoWars battery pack, you go from a dead battery to this. You get all that cranking power in this little brick. The InfoWars Power Pack is a must-have, and it'll give you peace of mind whether you're at home or on the go. It's so compact, it'll fit in your backpack, your glove box, or even your back pocket. Get one for your home, boat, car, camping setup, or just for emergencies. Secure your peace of mind today and order your InfoWars Power Pack from InfoWarsStore.com or dial 1-888-253-3139 and order today.
Prepping for disaster and societal unrest has now gone so mainstream that even Realtor.com is writing about it. But the realtors are still embarrassed to cover the subject and eager to set themselves apart from what they call Uncle Travis's guns and canned foods militia vision of preparedness. Well, the ants may have the last laugh on the grasshoppers, but the grasshoppers will still sing the tune if they can make money. But maybe you don't have a Hollywood mansion where you can drop another $1 million to turn your home theater into a radiation-proof bunker. There are still very effective, low-tech, low-cost things you can do to prepare. In fact, even realizing that there's a need to prepare and doing anything to act on that realization increases your chances of survival. Things that you do to prepare for an Armageddon scenario will help you to weather storms, to absorb an economic shock, or to protect you from home invasion. Prepare for the worst-case scenario while you educate yourself and others and work for the best-case scenario. Get more information at Infowars.com. I'm David Knight.
I gave the number out earlier, and then time got away from us, and I didn't get your calls.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
So as soon as Dr. Mercola, who's got riveting information, leaves us here in about 10 minutes, I'm going to go right to your calls, and I've got some other breaking news that's exclusive to Infowars.com. Kim.com was able to predict what WikiLeaks was going to put out. Roger Stone was not. I'm not putting Roger Stone down. I know what Roger Stone said. I know what Roger Stone was saying behind the scenes. Roger Stone was not involved with WikiLeaks because I was having the private discussions. He's like, yeah, I know a couple reporters that are going to interview him that I talked to. Roger talks to more reporters than anybody I know. And he said, I'm going to try to find out what it is they claim they've got. Assange kept saying, I've got the big bombshell. I've got the big bombshell for 6 months, before it came out. Right before the RNC. And so Roger had the reporters go there, and they called him back and said, yeah, it's about this and that. But that's the connection. It's not Russians. Everybody's trying to talk to Assange. I mean, he goes on Fox News. He goes on CNN. It's just like, oh, but Roger talked to some reporters that talked to him and sent a message in. So he's a Russian agent. But Kim.com, who I'm a big fan of and who was going to come on the show, then had some family emergency once, and he thought I was dissing him not being there, so he canceled. I want to get Kim.com on, because I followed Kim's tweets, and Kim did predict everything that happened, and he does have the connections. I know folks high up and say, oh, that's the guy to talk to. Quote, I know Seth Rich was involved in the DNC leaks. Internet Guru says Rich wanted to drain the swamp from the inside. Both parties. And they killed him. So this is crazy. Going back to Dr. Mercola, he's got the new book, Fat for Fuel, available at InfoWarsStore.com. That way you support him, you support us, you support yourself. Now, I want to warn you, it's easy to read, but it is like a textbook. I mean, it's I don't want to say textbook for dummies, but it covers every subject, every angle. This is something doctors should read, because this really, I think, is the key of Solomon when it comes to decoding the different paradoxes that are out there of protein, fat, different imbalances, the ramp up, the way to ease in, managing your emotions during transition. Because here's the deal. I can quit eating carbohydrates and stuff, and then I turn into not even a mean maniac. I'm like worse than I am now, bouncing off the walls. So no wonder they want us all eating a bunch of crap, because we're more manageable that way. And the power of being a real human is pretty amazing. So it's all there, the power of fasting. Dr. Mercola, I want to talk about your book in closing, but first, Again, thank you for coming on the broadcast today and for your great work. What about the big picture I was mentioning before the break?
Well, we are making progress, so we need to recognize that. I think the most recent observation is that California, as you probably covered in your broadcast earlier, has actually put the poison label on Roundup, and has required that in the state of California. So that,
and not to give credit, but you've been pushing that for 20 years. Well,
I don't know about 20 years, but certainly for a long time. Most of this century, for sure.
But I mean, you were like the first online with this stuff in, like, I remember you're still 94, 95, right?
Yeah. So we've been at it for a while. Well, actually, you know, my epiphany with the pernicious nature of glyphosate and Roundup really didn't occur until the early 2000s. But there are other major advocates, like Stephen Drucker, who's an attorney who filed a lawsuit against the FDA to...
Sure, it's not about credit. The point is, we've all been at the tip of the spear. We're being vindicated. We're being proven right.
Right. It's good to know that as long as people have the knowledge and information, this is a free country. We have freedom of choice. We vote with our pocketbooks, and that has enormous potential.
Sure. And when I'm giving you credit, I know you're not a big ego guy. It's not about, you're this wonder man. You help with your organization and your listeners, your supporters, spearhead labeling all over the country. I mean, let's give you and your listeners and everybody the credit. You know, the point is, we're getting things done.
Yes, we are. Yeah, and there's a reason for it. You know, I recognized I could preach to the world all I want, just like you're doing, but unless we organize and coalesce into some type of effective political health activism, that we couldn't, these barriers that were in place by most of these corrupted federal regulatory agencies would impair the average person from being able to implement what we're seeking to teach them. So we're trying to break down those barriers and make it easy for everyone.
Wow. So do you think overall we're starting to win, or, I mean, how is the empire striking back? Because it seems to be...
Well, there's a lot of fronts out there, and I think we're making major progress on many of them. There's no doubt in my mind. And some of them we're losing ground, but at least we're not losing it as fast as we would if we weren't in the battle. So it's a wide, there's a lot of work to do out there. We're just happy to give people the tools like Fat for Fuel that can essentially give them the freedom and insulate them from all this pernicious information they get, so they don't have to suffer needlessly and die prematurely unnecessarily. I mean, and you know, it just breaks my heart to see kids dying from cancer. There's just no damn need for it. We have 1,600 people die every day in the United States.
In fact, let me ask a few quick questions here. Doctor, you are a medical doctor and a pioneer exposing this. I mean, depending on the cancer, pediatric cancer is up like 10,000% from the 1940s. All these other cancers are exploding. And they never talk about why are they increasing, but you know a lot of those answers.
Well, there's no one simple answer to that one. There's many variables that contribute to it. One is not burning fat for fuel. There's no question, but it's also the exposure to these many pernicious toxins. And one of the most widely and pervasive one is microwave radiation from your cell phone towers, your cell phones, and your Wi-Fi routers. So that's a big one. And, you know, in conjunction with toxic food and other toxins they're exposed to in our environment, it can really, and infections, it can really wreak havoc on your metabolism and your health.
Now, a few other final questions. I remember the headline on Mercola.com. It's got to be, I don't know, about 15 years ago or something. And the headline was, I don't get the exact headline in my mind. I think it was something like, soft drinks, non-sugar soft drinks make you fat. Well, now that's mainstream news all over the place, that it's not just making you fat, it's eating your brain.
Let me just point something out, Alex. The challenge you just had there for a moment in your memory, and also the cravings that you have when you go off of carbohydrates, are a reflection that you're not burning fat as your primary fuel, because you only have a limited amount of sugar in your body. Literally about 5% of your fuel in your body is stored as glycogen in your muscles and your liver. And when you exhaust that in about 12 hours, and you can't burn fat, you're going to be low on fuel. So you'll have all these symptoms with these cravings because your body needs fuel and it can't access the fat because you haven't taught it how to do it yet. So that's what this whole book is designed to have you access it. And the beautiful thing is once you are burning fat as your primary fuel, you have this incredible mental clarity that just is an unbelievable. Your memory, you just don't forget things anymore.
Absolutely, because your body, by doing occasional fasting,
the cravings disappear. These cravings for junk food, they're just gone. They are just non-existent. You don't have to have iron willpower or discipline to implement the program. Once you burn fat as your primary fuel.
Well, I was interrupting there, and to be specific, I do get absent-minded or I do forget things. They had a feed in there running audio into my head. That's why I was unable to think of it, because I was hearing somebody else talk. It was driving me crazy. But sometimes I do forget things and have brain farts. But I mean, get back to this. Repeat what you were saying, because I interrupted, about once you learn how to access fat by fasting or these certain diets you have in the book, Fat for Fuel, why all the studies, the research show it creates this incredible clarity. Why does it do that? Please repeat that.
Well, it does it because, and you teach your body, you encourage it, and so that it really adapts to have this metabolic flexibility to burn either fat or carbohydrates. 95% of the people in the country can only burn carbohydrates as a fuel, and they can't access it. But when you do, these ketones burn very efficiently. They create less free radicals, and they are water-soluble fats that easily penetrate into the brain and provide them the fuel that works. It's just why this type of approach is used for drug-resistant seizure disorders, and it's saved many children's and adults' lives by going on it, because it nourishes the brain in a way that it was designed to be nourished. Because historically, through ancient times, we've gone through these periods of stress. So our ancestors all had this metabolic flexibility that they could nourish their brain with these ketones. And these ketones are not the same that you get in diabetic ketoacidosis that many people are concerned about. It's two different animals. It is, I think Atkins helped dispel that myth, but it's a completely different approach from Atkins. It's high quality food. It's relatively.
I was about to say that a few times I've done diets like this, I can't handle how awake I am and how great my brain works. It's almost like too much.
It really is great. You almost don't need the artificial stimulants or the nootropics. It's just an amazing transition and shift that occurs when your body is functioning the way it was designed to. It's nothing short of miraculous. It really is. Once you optimize your fuel strategy.
All right, Dr. Mercola, thank you so much for the book, Fat for Fuel, and I really appreciate the deep research you've done into it. God bless you.
All right.
All right, there he goes. The book is available at InfoWarsStore.com. And listen, I don't have a lot of people on about books anymore, and I don't even go and get a lot of books and sell them. Used to, we'd be selling, maybe 70, 80, 100 books a year or more. We might sell 10 books a year now because I still read a lot, but I already know most of it, and I figure you do too. This book really made me think about things, and it's kind of like working out. You do something for a while, then you change it, and you mix it up. That's how you get real change. That's how you have successful things happen in your life. You get in this kind of homeostasis you think of as good in your life, but it's actually stagnation. It's about shaking it up, and I intend to start doing some fasting, because that's something I can actually do. And I've done it before, and it does a lot of just amazing things. The issue is I can't be here at work because fasting and working does not mix well. I get pretty angry. But if I'm hanging out at home or, just doing stuff with the children, it's not as big a deal. As long as I can drink water and deal with the stomach ache I get day two. But the brain certainly works a lot better than when you're fat, dumb, and happy. That's why they've got terms like that. Okay, I want to go to Jason in Germany. And by the way, everybody that's been holding an hour, you get whatever you want. A bottle of X2, a bottle of Brain Force, a Trump is my president shirt, whatever it is, one of the items. They're on the site. Let's say $30 or less. It's all yours. Let me just briefly mention that since I'm doing this. This is how we fund our operation. Believe me, if we sell 1,000 of Mercola's books, that's not going to fund a news organization of this size. We're doing it with the Memorial Day special that the crew came up with. And let me tell you, it is one of the biggest specials ever. We've been having a lot of big specials. We're talking 65% off Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver. We've never done that. And this has been sold out for a while. This stuff just came back in. We can sell this full retail. But I believe in having incredible discounts on high-quality products so that you repeat customer want to support us and sign up for auto ship. You get an additional 10% off on everything in the store when you sign up for AutoShip. That makes the colloidal silver a loss leader. And by the way, I said almost everything. Some things you get a 25% off on the entire line when you sign up for AutoShip on Enrich's Essentials of personal care products like high-quality, non-aluminum deodorant, non-nano, zinc-based high-quality sunscreen, 10-to-1 concentrate organic mouthwash, body wash, shampoo, and so much more. Bug spray, all natural. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. Now, I'm going to have to end that 25% off on AutoShip soon because they kind of showed me the math the other day, and we're not making enough money to operate. This is one of our main products we're selling, and I'm doing 45% off total when you do the AutoShip. It's 25% off AutoShip, 20% off retail. So that limited time introductory offer is going to have to end probably in the next week or so. Take advantage of it at InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. But I'm going to Jason in Germany just first. We are very excited to announce this new mega special that we're running on the biggest specials basically ever at InfoWarsLife.com. And that is Silver Bullet, 65% off. Super Male Vitality, been out for months, 30% off. Survival Shield X2, incredible, 40% off. Brain Force, 47% off, with 20% more in each bottle. Secret 12, 43% off. The highest quality organic methylcobalamin. Knockout, 50% off. You cannot beat that. All Trump InfoWars shirts, 75% off. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm changing my life. I'm not up here on some high horse lecturing you about how to be healthy. I just know when antibiotics haven't worked for me, I drink a whole bottle of colloidal silver, which, by the way, is toxic. The government says small amounts of it are okay and GRAS certified and all this stuff. Consult your own physician. I just know when antibiotics don't work for me or my family, I take heroic doses of colloidal silver. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying it's something good to have in your cupboard. Topically, you name it, silver. It's what the elites eat off of for a reason. It's been well known for thousands of years, and now it's been proven an antivirus, antibacterial, when the other stuff isn't working. Does it mean it works every time? Got to experience it for yourself. This is the reason they call it in lore a silver bullet, associated with warding off evil. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. As the wives' tales are all archetypes of the truth. Got a problem with a werewolf or a vampire? Silver. InfoWarsLife.com. Play that line. Jones believes in werewolves. It's a parallel, an allegory, a parable, an example, a comparison, an analogy. I don't mean literal. If you're somebody kidnapped, a devil worshiper, dead with world leaders raping a 5-year-old, I mean, I guess vampires are real, aren't they? They just don't live forever, except in hell. I'm sorry. Let's go to Jason in Deutschland. Jason, give us your address if you want it. We're shipping you whatever you want of one of those items. Thanks for holding. Jason.
It's one of your marvelous people there. By the way, I don't just call to bug you every once in a while. I actually do use your products. I use X2 every day, the H Dispense and the Silver Bullet, and love it. I would actually buy more, except as the guy from Scotland said, you just almost can't get it here. In fact, at Customs, they won't even give it to me, so I have to go stateside actually re-up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's another problem that's killed us. We still ship overseas. 20-30% of the stuff we ship overseas, then we don't even get a letter back. They just tear it open, steal it, throw it in the trash. We've been told this by customs agents overseas. I mean, they are out to get us.
That's why I stopped ordering. I didn't want to put you guys through that. But also, real quick, I wrote an article. I don't know if you guys take user submissions, but I sent that to both the writers and show tips at Infowars.com if you guys are able to review that. Real quick about the terror attack. I think it's important to understand exactly what we're dealing with here, and it's just like you said earlier. It's trauma-based mind control. That's what it is.
And explain that to people.
Well, I think the elite are using terror as a way to make us feel helpless and then basically put us in a position to beg them for their 1984-style control grid, which ironically will actually not even keep us safe. Or, just as bad, make us feel outraged enough to actually take it to the streets and then use that as a pretext for bringing in a draconian kind of surveillance state. And we need to be careful not to play into that, because that is the game they're playing, and there are many ways to skin a cat, and we are the cat in this situation.
All right. Well, hey, send us a resume. You should be a radio host for us. I'm about to launch a larger radio network. I'll work with GCN if they want to. Thank you, Jason. Imagine the world without InfoWars. The globalists have already consolidated their power. They don't want people to have their own economies, their own choices. When you spread the links to Infowars.com news stories and our videos, when you tell friends, family, and neighbors about our free iPhone and Droid apps, or send them a link to our daily podcast, you were involved in a revolutionary act against tyranny. It was George Orwell that said, in a world of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. That's why I spend a lot of time trying to not just innovate news and analysis in our fight against the globalists, but also thinking about how we're able to fund our operation. That's so critical to prosecute an information war. And I've spent 7 years off and on trying to get a big national brand that's already trusted to let us private label an entire line of personal care products that's organic and high quality. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have private labeled it, and it is the exact same product, just the name is different, Emmerich's Essentials, and it's on average 20% off what it would be in stores buying it directly from InfoWarsStore.com. On top of that, if you sign up for AutoShip, you get an additional, out of the gates, 25% off on this product. Emmerich's Essentials is all about personal care, hygiene, not getting skin cancer, not getting bit by a bunch of bugs and gnats and mosquitoes. It's all there. The body wash, the shampoo, the deodorant, the mouthwash, all of it is truly game-changing. BOA spray, totally organic, essential oils, works a lot better than the toxic chemical systems that are out there, and it is comparable in price, and again, it's concentrated. The deodorant is amazing, high quality, doesn't have the aluminum garbage in it, totally natural, works great. SPF 30 face and body lotion sunscreen, unscented. This is exciting because so many of the so-called sunscreens that are out there are toxic. As everyone knows, I'm obsessed with win-wins. 20% off what it is retail, because we cut out the middleman. And then additionally, if you sign up for AutoShip, out of the gates, 25% off that, because I want you to try these products. I want you to love these products. I want to have a deeper relationship with you in a 360 win, a non-zero-sum game, where you get high quality, you get value, and you repeat order something you need every month. And then we're able to secure our funding into the future to not just stay at the level we're at, but to grow in the face of enemy attacks. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, and you'll find Emmerich's Essentials.
I can see for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles.
Okay, folks, we're back. I'm going to do this segment the next, and then Paul Watson from London will have a lot more on the bombing, the attack. And again, we know the globalists are working with Islam. We know they're bringing him in. It's just to watch the media cover it up and then demonize anybody that exposes it and then act like it's our fault because we don't submit to Islam. This is happening. It just makes me angry. And I don't want to kill the Muslims. I don't want to be in wars with them. But our governments overthrow the secular governments and then put the baddies in. So I hope Saudi Arabia's turned some corner with Trump. If Trump delivers, I'll be happy. If he doesn't, I'm going to hate him. But it all remains to be seen. O'Brien in Maryland, you're on the air. Thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Yeah, basically what we have to also look at is the fact that basically they actually warn. They keep telling us that basically this is all going to happen, and it just keeps happening. It's almost like having someone say, "I'm going to do this, this, and this," and the person.
That's right. Al Qaeda and ISIS say, "You're letting us in. We're going to kill you." When they do kill us, our government says, "Don't worry. We'll teach schoolgirls how to wear hijabs. That'll fix it." So what do you think's happening? I think it's mass mind control, trauma-based mind control, like the last caller from Germany said.
And that's exactly what it is.
God bless you, O'Brien. You know, I'll tell you, I was thinking about the last caller. I was saying, hey, you're in Germany. I'm going to send you a free bottle of something for holding over an hour. It's a good promo on air, but also I feel bad for folks who've been holding too long. And so I want to encourage good callers to call in, and it's uncool what I do sometimes. Let's just be honest. But I get caught up in the time and the guest and everything else. And I was thinking about, why did I ever get an Amazon account, even though they bend you over the barrel and make you pay them huge percentages and it's not even profitable? And it's because we never have problems shipping Amazon packages into Russia or into Germany or into Japan or into Mexico or into wherever. But Canada and the EU really are horrible. And they grab your stuff and make you come get it from customs with a 90% markup. America doesn't do that to other people's stuff. It's so uncool to that extent. You know, there's some tariffs, some regulations. And I just thought, that's why I should be on Amazon. But see, Amazon's the globalist. It's the big company. It gives money to the foreign governments. It's liberal. So it gets to ship in and not get torn open and not have all the fees added on most of the time. Because we'll fill out the forms right. We'll do it all. We'll do it through FedEx. You name it. They tear it open a third of the time. They steal it. And don't even send it back to us. So I just throw product up against a wall, but I still just do it. So I'm pig-headed. But maybe I should just roll over to Amazon and be anti-gun, anti-family. Chop my balls off. Just worship world government. I mean, I'm sorry to talk like that. It's just, at a certain point, it's just, why are the people running things so uncool? Because they're greedy bastards, that's why. Dan in Indiana, thanks for holding her on the air.
Hello?
Hey, brother.
Yeah. I want to say this is Dan saying this, and not Alex Jones or President Trump, but it is time for eye, and let God sort out the terrorists from the innocent, because it's time for the British people to get up some balls and go out there and start lynching these bastards.
Well, I know this. Your phone's breaking up real bad, but I hear what you're saying. How about just go after the known Islamic leaders calling for violence? How about that?
Go out there and show some heart. They need to go out and be men and take some swords or whatever they have and fight to the finish, you know, because they're being walked all over.
No, I hear you, Dan. And I mean, I'm not saying we should do that, but the point is, if the government doesn't respond, it's going to lead to that point, Dan. Stay there. We're going to get your info if you want to get a T-shirt or X2 or whatever you want. Thanks for holding. We're going to come back in the third, fourth hour. I'm going to finish up with Trevor and Cindy. I mean, Dan asked the big question everybody's asking.
This is the InfoWars Power Pack, and it can start your car if it has a dead battery. And now we're going to use the Power Pack to jumpstart this truck. And we're going to show you. Switch on the Power Pack. Wait a few minutes, and then you'll be able to start your car. With just a few minutes on the InfoWars Battery Pack, you go from a dead battery to this. You get all that cranking power in this little brick. The InfoWars Power Pack is a must-have, and it'll give you peace of mind whether you're at home or on the go. It's so compact, it'll fit in your backpack, your glove box, or even your back pocket. Get one for your home, boat, car, camping setup, or just for emergencies. Secure your peace of mind today and order your InfoWars Power Pack from InfoWarsStore.com or dial 1-888-253-3139 and order today.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones.
Again, it's not the Muslims. It's this big collapse, this big setup. This big
waging war on corruption.
Clash.
It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
I mean, who could think this up? Like aliens that run the planet? It's like a crazy video game. where there's a planet and then you give like super backwards people that have women as slaves and run sex slavery half the oil on the planet, and the British find it and then make them the richest people in the world. And then now they're like sending out people all over the world as missionaries that blow you up and kill you. And look, other Orthodox religions have done bad things as well. I don't want to kill Muslims. I just know that our governments are working with them and allowing this to happen, and it's wrong. And those of us that criticize it are attacked. I used to be brainwashed 15 years ago and get mad if you criticize Muslims. I knew they were backward and had problems, but I didn't want to go bomb them and stuff. I guess I was right because I stirred them up, but there was a larger plan. The same people bombing them are the ones putting the radicals in charge and then opening our borders up to them. So what's the big master plan? Trevor in Canada, then Cindy in Pennsylvania. Trevor, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Good, brother.
Hey, I just want to chat about how on earth you have a reformation in Islam when the roots of it are so poisonous. How do you, like, there's been reformations like the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and all that stuff. I don't understand how you can reform something that has poisonous roots to it.
No, I hear you. I mean, I got to be honest with you. So what do we do? We got 1.5 billion of these people. What do you do?
That's the real question. It's at least something you got to, anything that doesn't coincide with Western values, it's something that shouldn't be around.
Well, here's the deal. They could have their countries. It's just that they're obsessed with taking everything over. That's why they're constantly killing each other, because they're not an open, free society. Then they use our openness and our freedom to ally with the left, but then try to get rid of our openness and freedom. It's just, there's no logic to the feminists in people, except they're just a bunch of white flag cowards.
Well, no kidding. Look, they're with them promoting the hijab and everything when the hijab's origins were to differentiate between your wives and your sex slaves. I don't understand how they could promote something like that as a feminist, so-called.
That's right. For folks that don't know the history, why don't you tell them about the difference between a wife and a sex slave? Who wore what?
I forget which is which. I believe it was sex slaves that wore the hijab. I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest, but either way, it's a symbol of oppression, and I don't understand, especially with what it's referring to differentiating between wives and sex slaves.
Well, imagine if a black guy or Hispanic guy or a white guy, Christian, whatever, said, you're going to wear a hood over your head, I'm going to cut your genitals off. People put you in prison. You'd say, oh, he had his wife as a slave. What? I mean, it's like ridiculous. We should reject it. Thank you, Trevor. Great points. Cindy in Pennsylvania, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you.
Thanks for that segment with Tommy Robinson. What amazing bravery that man has.
He does.
I think we all need to get behind him. I've been racking my brain because he's in so much danger. I mean, I watched him with the frustration in him. It just made me cry. But I had one idea of a T-shirt, Tommy Robinson, with a picture of his face with "It begins with one." I'm not a rich person, but if I was, I would put that out. And
with Robinson, doesn't the sincerity come right across very, very strong? And he really has been the Paul Revere in the UK in the last 15 years. Anything else, Cindy?
him. Pardon me?
I'm sorry, your phone cut out. Go ahead.
If we had just 100 of him, what we could do. But I would love to see a T-shirt. It begins with one, Tommy Robinson. He needs bodyguards or something. I fear for his safety.
Well, he's been in prison. They beat him up. He gets it. I mean, the guy's, it's crazy. I mean, let me tell you something. One reason I started becoming anti-Islam was going to Europe and England. And, man, they just get in your face like you are a dog. Because they're so used to the Brits rolling over. And I'm just like, what on earth? Paul Watson's coming up, speaking of the Brits.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government. Independence isn't a day. It's a mindset, an attitude that says, I will not be your dependent. I will not be your slave. Dependence and slavery is a chain that is forged link by link with gradual infringements. When you trade your liberty for safety, to that extent, you become their slave. Slaves are never safe. You won't get rich by being a slave. Guard your liberty. Regard with suspicion anyone who tries to take it. For Infowars.com, I'm David Knight.
Our fellow InfoWars across the United States and across the planet really love the Hillary for President 2016 shirts that we began to put out in 2015. It became a global meme against globalism and corruption, and a very strong maxim that's now being continued on today. So we now have George Soros, because the media attacked me on this whole goblin meme. They've made huge jokes about it, but it's totally blown up in their face. We now have George Soros as a goblin on the back, and it says with a cross through him, an X like Ghostbusters, no Soros, him as a goblin. It says deport Soros on the bottom, and on the top it says InfoWars established 1996. So it is a limited edition, deport Soros on the back, Hillary for President on the front, right-hand shoulder, Infowars.com. It's powerful. Hope you get out to everybody you know. InfoWarsStore.com, or call 888-253-3139.
There's a crisis in America today. Tens of millions of us are addicted to cell phones. These little devices, according to many university studies and more, cause health risks such as depression, cancer, and social anxiety. How can we prevent these harmful devices from harming us and our families? I have the answer for you today. It's called the Block It Pocket. The Block It Pocket works by securing your phone in its safe, no radiation compartment. I use the Block It Pocket every day to protect me from harmful radiation and prevent others from stealing my stuff. Online, your entire persona is visible. Your credit card numbers, your email, everything about you that a criminal can use to hack and buy things under your name. With the Block It Pocket, this is impossible. It blocks those harmful signals so that you can be safe. Go to InfoWarsStore.com today and make sure to secure your very own Block It Pocket.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want to stop tyranny? Well, so does he. Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
We're live, it's the fourth hour of the Alex Jones Show with me, Paul Joseph Watson. Now, obviously, we've spoken at length about the tragedy that happened last night in Manchester, England. We're going to get more into that. We're also going to cover the situation in Libya, or just off the coast of Libya. And this is what most people don't realise about the, quote, refugee crisis. It's not a refugee crisis. Most people hold up the refugee welcome signs. They don't even scratch 1 inch below the surface. We're talking about these NGO boats literally going 12 miles off the coast of Libya to pick up migrants, some of whom have been paid by ISIS to cover their fee that they pay the people smugglers to get across the Mediterranean, with the NGOs being in illegal communication with the people smugglers. Most people have no idea that this is going on. It's something that we can stop if we know the details, if we support the parties that are trying to stop it there in Italy. So I'm going to get into a detailed breakdown about that. And obviously we're talking about what happened in Manchester. Now, to set the table for Manchester, this video just went up about an hour ago on YouTube and on Infowars.com. It is Manchester Attack, what they're not telling you. Here's the video. Europe has been hit with yet another terrorist atrocity after at least 22 people were killed in an attack on the Manchester Arena claimed by ISIS. The second attack on the UK in the space of 2 months. Victims, many of them teenage girls, massacred, mutilated, maimed. Why does this keep happening? Because our political class has demoted the most basic role of government to protect the lives of its people and replaced it with a different role. Tolerance. Tolerance of women being abused and harassed on the street. Tolerance of rape gangs abducting and abusing young girls for years. Tolerance of all the barbarisms of Sharia law. Tolerance of terrorist attacks. Tolerance is now more important than the basic right to life. Tolerance. Tolerance of terror being part and parcel of living in a major city, according to London Mayor Sadiq Khan.
Europe is getting used to attacks like this, Mika. We have to.
There's only one way Britain should respond to attacks such as Manchester. That is by carrying on exactly as before.
Just carry on. Forget about it. Be tolerant until it happens again and again and again. Tell me, how do the parents of dead kids just carry on exactly as before? How do the teenage girls whose legs have been blown off just carry on exactly as before?
As much as I'm praying for Manchester, I'm praying for Muslims who have to deal with racism and Islamophobia due to this tragedy.
Right, so that's what our main concern should be after dozens of children have been blown up. People being mean to Muslims. As a society, we need to make a choice. Which do we value more? Protecting the feelings of Muslims or preventing our children from being blown up?
Muslims are to blame, when in reality Muslim taxi drivers are offering free lifts and a Muslim doctor working into the night saving lives.
Yeah, the fact that some Muslim taxi drivers are offering free lifts doesn't negate the fact that Islam has a problem with violence. You utter moron.
Islamophobia and sickening fake news is rife tonight is showing a lot of people to be vile humans.
Yeah, vile humans follow a belief system that justifies massacring teenagers at a pop concert. Should we concentrate on stopping them or be more angry at inaccurate tweets?
Seeing all the posts about Manchester just reminds me of how we only notice it if it happens to white people.
Right, so the main complaint should be all those disgusting white people demanding attention for being slaughtered. How dare they? And in these times of our children being blown to bits by terrorists, it's vital to point out the real danger. Katie Hopkins' offensive tweets. Being angry at Tommy Robinson. That's more important. I've come to realise that a lot of this hashtag pray for whatever concern signalling is worse than glib. It's repugnant narcissism.
People who see something horrible happen in the world, and they run to the internet, and they run to their social media, their Facebook, their Twitter, whatever they got, and they all write down the exact same thing. My thoughts and prayers. My thoughts and prayers with the people in Aurora. My thoughts and prayers with the families in Boston. Do you know what that's worth? Nothing. Fucking less than nothing. Less than nothing. You are not giving any of your time, your money, or even your compassion. All you are doing is saying, don't forget about me today.
Your thoughts and prayers count for nothing. CNN's Jake Tapper posting a Union Jack. Hey Jake, I don't recall you posting a Russian flag when all those innocent people got blown up in the St. Petersburg subway last month. Was political correctness to blame for one of the accomplices in the attack escaping detection? This eyewitness says she spotted a woman acting suspiciously and told security, but they did nothing.
It looked very suspicious. She was fidgeting all the time with a bag on the floor across her. She was by herself.
What was she doing?
She was looking in the direction of where the explosion actually happened all night and smirking to herself.
The suspicious individual was hard to understand, suggesting English wasn't her first language. The woman who reported the incident was then lectured for making the suspicious individual feel uncomfortable.
How would you like it if someone accused you of this? We look into it. And nothing was done about it. 1 to 2 minutes before the concert finished, this lady disappeared. And then, of course, the explosion went off.
Is she suggesting that security did nothing because the suspicious individual was Muslim, and to ask her to leave would have been politically incorrect? We'll never know. What we do know is this. Almost certainly, nothing will change. There are things we can change. Mass surveillance of hate-preaching mosques. Solitary confinement of individuals who are likely to radicalise others in prison. Extreme vetting and strict quotas on Muslim immigration. Deporting known terrorists. Prosecuting NGOs who send out boats to rescue unvetted migrants, some of whom sympathise with or are members of ISIS. But again, nothing is going to change because we have a political class and a culture that deems hurt feelings to be of more concern than mangled, dead children. 90% of terror victims are Muslims killed by other Muslims. This is the culture we're importing. Just 34% of British Muslims would inform police if they knew someone was getting involved with ISIS. 32% refuse to condemn those who take part in violence against those who mock the Prophet Muhammad. 1 in 4 British Muslims believe that the 7/7 attacks in London were justified. ISIS fighters are returning from Syria and flooding into Europe en masse under cover of the refugee wave, and European countries are welcoming them in. Because tolerance. This is tolerance. This is diversity. This is the future our leaders have chosen for us. But we have a choice. We have hope. Don't let them tell you not to be angry. Don't let them tell you to just go on with life as normal, because that's not bravery. It's cowardice. Enough hashtags. Enough vigils. Enough celebrity platitudes. It hasn't worked. We need change. We need action. Hope has 2 beautiful daughters. Their names are Anger and Courage. Anger at the way things are, and courage to see that they do not remain as they are. And that is what they're not telling you about the Manchester attack. Now, I mentioned there in the video, everyone made a huge deal about, oh, there were some Muslim taxi drivers who were offering free lifts to the people trying to get home after that tragedy. Now, I'm sure there were some that were offering free lifts. But Cosmopolitan took this, they put out a tweet, and if you go onto my Twitter page, you can scroll down, it's on there as of about an hour ago. They put out a tweet with a picture of a Sikh man saying that he was a Muslim offering free lifts. Now, you could understand if they were just stupid and they're mistaking a Sikh for a Muslim. It's pretty easy to tell based on the headgear. But they asked the originator of this photo for permission to use it, and in the original tweet that this Sikh guy posted, he said he was a Sikh. Cosmopolitan deliberately twisted that. They took it and claimed he was a Muslim. Again, because virtue signalling about Muslims and Islamophobia, that's the main concern. That's the numero uno thing that everybody has to do after an Islamic terrorist has slaughtered 22 people, 23 people, and maimed dozens more. That is the most important thing. You know, just imagine if some of these leftists got as irate about Islamic terrorism as they did, oh, I don't know, people with opinions with which they don't agree. Remember Antifa, remember Berkeley, remember the absolute bedlam that takes place when anyone dares express an opinion that goes against their leftist consensus. They go absolutely ape. When something like this happens, no, we're bad for talking about Islam. I'll give you another example. Somebody put out a tweet earlier which said, bearing in mind, as we talked about earlier, Katie Hopkins is literally under police investigation for a tweet which basically said we need men to stand up against Islamic terrorism. That's basically all that it said. She's under police investigation for that now. They're visiting mosques, okay? This bomber came from Whalley Range in Manchester, which is an area of Manchester that has 4 mosques. Whalley Range. 2 girls that went to Syria to join ISIS also came out of that area. So are the police going to be putting surveillance on those mosques? Are they going to be going to those mosques and finding out if they played a role in radicalizing this individual? Well, not today, it seems like, because they're traveling around mosques, checking if the people in the mosques are being attacked, if they're safe. Now, no one's advocating attacks on mosques. That's ridiculous. That's just as bad. You don't fight extremism with extremism. But for their primary concern to be, quote, hate speech, and they've come out on Twitter, all these different police bodies, and said, we will not tolerate hate speech. That was their first primary concern immediately after this attack. It is every single time. Because these councils are controlled by leftists, the same kind of people who ignored the ritual abuse of children for years and years.
We've taken thousands of years of known research and put it together with our own 4 years of seeking and testing to find the very best systems that God gave us through Mother Nature to detoxify the body. That's why I'm introducing Z-Shield, Toxic Metal and Chemical Defense Support. It's made in the USA. It's filled with known compounds from nature that are absolutely associated with detoxifying the body, and it supports the InfoWar. It is a classical 360 win. Our formula at InfoWarsLife.com is, quite frankly, simple. We go out and look at the recognized research, and we take it to the next level of quality, of purity, and of strength. Because this is what I personally use for myself and my family. We've gone through 5 or 6 different permutations in the last 4 years since we launched InfoWars Life to actually come up with this. This is the formula that I personally have been taking for over a year, and now we believe we have come as close to perfection when it comes to a detoxifier as you can possibly get. If you're not mitigating the pesticides, the heavy metals, the chemicals, if you're not trying to purify your water, if you're not trying to take products like Z-Shield that are full of known concentrated compounds that'll purify our cells and our bodies, you're crazy. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, and you owe it to the future of this country and the world that patriots stay as healthy and as clean and as focused as you can be, because we need you, the remnant of America, to reignite those brush fires to the next level and to be healthy and as focused as you can be. Because if you're sick, if you're over there on the sidelines and not in the fight, you're basically giving in to the New World Order. Thanks to your support and your prayers, together, we're changing the world. Now it's time to change our bodies with Z-Shield at InfoWarsLife.com.
This is the InfoWars Power Pack, and it can start your car if it has a dead battery. And we're going to show you. This car won't even turn over. And now we're going to use the Power Pack to jumpstart this truck. It's very simple. All you do is pop up this tab right here and insert the connector. Connect the black clip to your negative terminal and the red clip to the positive terminal on your battery. Switch on the Power Pack. Wait a few minutes, and then you'll be able to start your car. With just a few minutes on the InfoWars battery pack, you go from a dead battery to this. You get all that cranking power in this little brick. And with that, you're on your way. This is the InfoWars Premium Power Pack. It's the perfect backup power device for camping, hunting, and any off-the-grid adventure. The InfoWars Power Pack comes in this sturdy storage case and includes the following accessories: the powerful 14,000 milliamp hour battery, jumper cables, USB cables for any device you might need, a car charger to charge on the go, and a wall charger. Power Pack includes a handy flashlight with flashlight, SOS, and a strobe function. With 3 high-powered USB ports, you can charge 3 devices simultaneously. The InfoWars Power Pack is a must-have, and it'll give you peace of mind whether you're at home or on the go. It's so compact, it'll fit in your backpack, your glove box, or even your back pocket. Get one for your home, boat, car, camping setup, or just for emergencies. Secure your peace of mind today and order your InfoWars Power Pack from InfoWarsStore.com or dial 1-888-253-3139 and order today.
Eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. Are we gonna do what they say can't be done? We've got a long way to go.
So again, we have this narrative put out by the left after every single terrorist attack. Oh, but what about Islamophobia? What about people being mean to Muslims? That is the first thing they come out with every single time. They also come out with, oh, why are you blaming all Muslims? No one's blaming all Muslims. Why do they constantly insist that that's what we're saying? I've never said that. It's self-evident that that's not the case statistically, but it's also self-evident statistically that many of these people have extreme beliefs, and it is a problem. Islam has a problem with violence. Okay, when 32% say it's justifiable to commit terrorist attacks if it's in revenge for insulting the Prophet, 32% of British Muslims think that. That is a problem. When 1 in 4 British Muslims say the 7/7 attacks in London, which killed 50-odd people, are justifiable. That is a problem. That's something we need to have a national conversation about, without leftists coming in immediately and saying, you're a racist, you're an Islamophobe, even though Islam is not a race, and that you're saying all Muslims are responsible. Nobody's saying that. Only complete idiots would claim that, so why do they try to create that straw man? Well, it's a deceptive tactic to shut down debate, because again, they cannot tolerate the fact that Islam is not a progressive belief system, yet they still have to embrace it anyway, because it's all about the oppression Olympics. Now, this is a tweet that was said about me about 2 hours ago. Just to give you another example of the sheer idiocy that absolutely dominates Twitter after every single one of these incidents. It says, quote, "I'd just like to apologise to all peaceful Muslims on behalf of white people. Paul Joseph Watson and Katie Hopkins don't represent all of us." So again, putting it into the context of race. Islam is not a race. I have to keep saying that over and over again. There are actually white Muslims, there are black Muslims, there are brown Muslims. That's because it's a frigging belief system. It's not a race. So again, they put it in the context of, why are you blaming all Muslims? Show me one instance where I blamed all Muslims for anything. You can't, because it's a dishonest tactic to shut down a debate. It's not a real argument. It's never been part of the debate. What should be part of the debate is the fact that massive numbers of Muslims throughout the West, 42% of young Muslims in France support suicide bombing under certain circumstances. That's a problem. We have to face up to it to try and stop these massacres from happening over and over again, because as you see with this individual, the suicide bomber behind the Manchester Arena attack, born in Manchester. This is one of the integrated ones. His parents were Libyan refugees who came to the UK. The UK gave them refuge. They gave us a suicide bomber. Gee, thanks. What is happening in these communities, what is happening in these prisons, in these mosques where people are radicalized to such a degree that they will maim and mutilate teenage girls? That should be the main frigging focus, not Katie Hopkins' offensive tweets. I mean, I've laid out this scenario before. I'll lay it out again. Let's see how much time we got left here. And we're going to get into more news. We're going to get into the Libyan migrant crisis. Going to get into Seth Rich after the break. But again, here's the scenario. Say 5 Delta Airlines planes crashed in a single day. In one day, 5 Delta Airlines planes crash. What would the normal reaction be? Well, it would be to say, damn, there's something wrong with Delta planes. We need to investigate this. We need to get to the bottom of it. We need to do something about it, because this cannot keep happening. People are dying. That would be the normal reaction to 5 Delta Airlines planes crashing in a single day. What would be the insane reaction? Well, it would be to tweet #NotAllDelta and say that thousands of Delta Airlines planes didn't crash today. So why are you blaming all of Delta Airlines, you Delta-phobe? That would be the insane reaction. The insane reaction would be to say, well, only 5 Delta Airlines planes crashed. Thousands of them didn't crash. It's just a few bad planes. Maybe we should just be tolerant of Delta Airlines planes crashing and continue life as normal. Okay, that would be the insane reaction. Nobody would have that reaction, but that's exactly the reaction the left has when it comes to terrorism. And it's, again, because they've embodied many of the same goals as Islamic terrorists in terms of hating the West. I mean, Europe has now completely lost faith in its culture. The political class is flooding the continent with these people who have extreme regressive beliefs. Look what's happening. And it's not just an existential threat with the terrorism, it's the day-to-day grind, the harassments, the abuse, the rape gangs. This is what Europe is currently going through. And it's because of what Angela Merkel, because of what Macron stands for, because of what the political elite stands for. We cannot allow it to go on. We'll be back after the break. It's the Alex Jones Show Live. Don't go away.
The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
InfoWars has partnered with Defender Body Armor to bring you a new state-of-the-art line of advanced, highly tested body armor from InfoWarsStore.com. Defender Body Armor is certified to protect against all handgun rounds, even armor-piercing FN 5.7 pistol rounds. The secret to Defender Body Armor is its proprietary processing technology that disperses more kinetic energy at a rate higher than any other traditional body armor, using one of the strongest synthetic materials ever created, called ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene. Defender armor is also super compact and lightweight. There's a reason the Department of Defense chose Defender to manufacture their new line of advanced lightweight armor. It works. Defender Body Armor is made right here in America and has received the highest level ballistic resistance certification from an authorized NIJ ballistic laboratory. Defender Body Armor is now available through InfoWarsStore.com, so you can defend yourself, your family, and finance the info war against the globalists all at the same time. A total 360 win. Let's go to Devin in Florida. Devin in Florida, you're on the air.
Great. Hey, thank you so much. Listen, I have bought your product, and I gotta say they're amazing. Anyone who's on the fence, buy it, because I've got Caveman, Superman Vitality, Secret 12, Vitamin Mineral Fusion. I've got the body armor.
Wow, thank you. Wow. You're the type of listener that makes it all possible. Which nutraceutical does you like best?
I really like the Vitamin Mineral Fusion, to be honest. That's amazing. Really incredible. I drank it in the morning, and I swear to you, I felt incredible. Like I haven't felt weak. My morning was fantastic, and I love you guys. I love the InfoWars crew, and I just want to I want to take this opportunity to tell anybody out there who's on the fence, just buy it. You will love it. I'm telling you, I've never bought a bad product.
What you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfoWarsLife.com. It's a win-win. InfoWarsLife.com.
Men, give your body the support it needs with InfoWars Life Prostagard. It's time to start assisting the body in regulating proper prostate balance. InfoWars Life has set out to bring you formulations that are not only the highest quality out there, but formulas that you can use on a daily basis to give your body the natural herbs and extracts that our experts recommend. The Prostagard formula does just that, with its mixture of plant-based nutrients and antioxidants that help give your body total support. It's a hand-selected blend of saw palmetto, lycopene, plant sterols, zinc, vitamin D3, selenium, and copper. Prostagard is something that the men on the InfoWars crew take every day. And from our research, it's something that men should really be adding to their daily regimen in order to keep their body going at optimal levels. Now's the time to start naturally supporting your body. Get Prostagard on your side today, exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
We're back live on the Alex Jones Show. This is an article out of Breitbart. 2017 has seen a terror attack attempted in Europe every 9 days. We talked about for years how Europe would end up like Israel. It's now slowly beginning to seem like it. In fact, it seems like it's worse right now. Europe, the United Kingdom, Russia have witnessed terror attacks or attempted attacks every 9 days in 2017. On average, analysis of security incidents has revealed since January, around 45 people have been killed by mostly Islamic terrorists, while hundreds have been injured. The only known incident not linked to jihadism was the attack on the Borussia Dortmund soccer team. Attacks and attempted attacks have taken place in Austria, France, the United Kingdom, Belgium, Italy, Russia, Sweden, Norway, and Germany. Just in 2017 alone, security services in Britain, which has a population of 65 million, are known to be tracking 3,500 potential terror suspects or persons posing a threat. And again, in most cases, even though they're likely to become terrorists, they have to leave them alone. Thousands of them. Thousands more flocking back in as a result of these ISIS-controlled areas collapsing. They're coming back to Europe. They're being allowed back into the country. Refugees welcome. The red carpet is rolled out. Now let's move on to the refugee crisis, of course, because it emerged that the parents of this suicide bomber escaped from the Gaddafi regime to come to the UK, let's take a look at what's happening in Libya and why the true scale of it is being hidden from the public. Now, this is important because, as we know, Gaddafi warned before he was toppled that jihadists would flock across the Mediterranean, would infiltrate European countries, would carry out terrorist attacks. That's exactly what is happening. Why is it happening? Because of these NGOs, because of these EU boats, these vessels that are literally giving migrants a taxi service straight to Europe. This is the biggest misconception surrounding the migrant crisis, that these, quote, refugees are struggling to get close to Europe and their NGO boats are rescuing them. They're not rescuing them. This is how it works. The migrants pay people smugglers in Libya up to 1,500 euros each, which is a year's wages, okay? So they're not destitute refugees. 80% of them, in the case of the ones going to Italy, or 85% indeed, are men. They're not, forget Syria, they're not even from Libya. They're from other African countries, Eritrea, Nigeria. They're not refugees, they're economic migrants. They're paying people smugglers. The people smugglers transport them to a position just 12 miles off the coast of Libya. Just 12 miles. Then they send out a distress signal, and these NGO vessels get the call. They come straight to them. They pick them up. Again, we presented the evidence, and it's going to be in a big video that I've got coming out in a couple of days. The people smugglers are in direct contact with the aid agencies. Even though it's completely illegal, they're in direct phone contact with them, which is why they're often first on the scene to rescue these migrants, which is a criminal offence. To be coordinating with criminal people smugglers, that's something that they should be prosecuted for. And they will be prosecuted if this investigation in Italy draws to its correct conclusion, because that's the way it's heading at the moment, thankfully. So we've played the videos before. You can go to marinetraffic.com and see how these boats come from Sicily. They leave Sicily. They go to 12 miles off the coast of Libya. They pick up their human cargo, take it back to Italy. It's literally a taxi service. When these migrants get back to Italy, having been picked up, half of them immediately disappear. Half of them. Now, you've seen the stats when it comes to certain people from Islamic countries supporting ISIS, huge numbers, uncomfortably huge numbers. Half of those people are just disappearing. We've seen the reports. Migrants arriving in Italy, eyewitness testimony, they have ISIS flags, beheading videos on their phone. Okay, some of these people are jihadists. Some of them have been paid by ISIS to become ISIS members, to become ISIS sleeper cells in Europe. That's how many of them pay the 1,500 euro fee to the people smugglers in the first place. And isn't it ironic that the only time these boats are diverted from Sicily, having picked up migrants from Libya, is when the G7 elitists are in town. We had that story last week. So the only time they don't head back to Italy is when the very political class that created this disaster is in town. They don't want to be faced up with the consequences of the policies they created. Because again, it's a security threat. Security threat for them. Forget about the Italian people. There's literally a war on the streets of Italy in places like Palermo in Sicily between mafias, between Italian mafias and these African migrant gangs. They're literally shooting each other, killing each other. The mayor of Palermo, in fact, I can find his comment here, he actually said that Palermo was now a Middle Eastern Islamic town. And he was happy with that. So a lot of them just love it. A lot of them just love being a turf war between migrant criminal gangs and the Italian mafia. That's what they want. That's what they're getting in places like Palermo. But again, the problem goes back to these NGO ships. Many of them are German. No surprise there. Even the EU border agency Frontex has accused aid agencies of helping criminals achieve their objectives. That's a direct quote. The people smugglers contact the NGO boats because they know they won't be arrested. If they contacted Coast Guard boats, they've got a risk of being arrested, so they don't do that. Here's a quote. Since June 2016, many boats have been rescued near the Libyan coast by aid agency vessels without any prior distress call, suggesting the rendezvous has been pre-arranged. So again, they're in direct contact with the criminal people smugglers. Italian prosecutor Carmelo Zuccaro says he has evidence of phone calls between criminal people smugglers and NGOs like Save the Children, Proactiva Open Arms, and SOS Mediterranean. Also, Avaz.org, Medicine Sans Frontier, and MoveOn.org are all involved. You'll notice those are all George Soros bankrolled organizations. $500 million he invested not long ago to, quote, help refugees. And undoubtedly, much of it is going to these NGOs to chart these vessels that go out, bring these unvetted, in some cases ISIS members or ISIS sympathizers into Europe. So again, it's an absolutely huge scandal. Nobody knows the scale of it. We're talking 200,000 migrants have arrived in Italy last year alone, and that's increasing. 200,000 a year, unvetted, just brought straight in. Half of them immediately disappear. Just 2.65% of migrants arriving in Italy are awarded asylum status. So again, the huge misconception that they're all refugees. They're not refugees. The vast majority of them are men, and half of them at least just immediately disappear as soon as they arrive in Europe. Now people say, well, is the migrant crisis going to end? Is there just going to be so many people coming in that it stops being a deluge and just becomes a trickle? Well, no. Because Africa's population is exploding. Again, where are these people coming from? They're not Libyans, okay? They're coming from Niger. They're coming from Chad. They're coming from Sudan. They're coming from Ethiopia. You look at the projected populations of those countries in Africa. Africa's population is exploding. These are the countries surrounding Libya. Niger's population is set to quadruple in the next 3 decades, 20 million to 72 million. Chad's population is going to leap from 14 million to 35 million. Sudan is heading towards 80 million. Egypt, 152 million. Ethiopia, 189 million. And Nigeria, 400 million. So it's never going to stop. If we have this policy of just picking them up, bringing them in on taxis, it's never going to stop. And this is the problem. You can't flood European cities with tens of millions of people from the Middle East and Africa and expect it to remain the same. Eventually, it's going to start to feel less like Europe and more like the Middle East and Africa. Okay? If you took hundreds of millions of white people and dumped them into China, that's going to change their society. It's just basic demographics, basic culture. So again, southern Italy is going through absolute nightmares. They're having turf wars between the Italian mafia and these African crime gangs that have arrived. This is the quote from the mayor of Palermo that I alluded to earlier. He said, quote, "Palermo is no longer an Italian town. It's no longer European. You can walk in the city and feel like you're in Istanbul or Beirut. Palermo is a Middle Eastern town in Europe." That's the mayor of Palermo. He's happy about it. He said it was a good thing. Similar to how the Green Party member in Germany said that, you know, major German cities being a white minority in 20 years would be a great thing. They celebrated it. This is what they're all about. Because, again, they ship in a class of people that are totally dependent on handouts. That keeps them in power. That's all they care about. They want to be in power forever. This is how they think they're going to do it. By destroying their own culture. By committing suicide. Absolutely incredible. And it's not just the terror attacks. People make the argument, well, you know, how many people die of cancer? How many people die in road accidents? It's not just the existential threat. There was a report out of Sweden the other day, which we covered. 90% of shootings in Sweden using firearms are carried out by migrants. 90%, not 19, 90. You can look at Germany. Their own government interior ministry report found that there were an extra 402,000 crimes committed by migrants per year, with non-Germans accounting for 27.6% of total offences. So they're completely overrepresented in the crime statistics. You talk about that in Sweden, they put you on a hate list. You see how this begins to work. 500,000 migrants in Germany are on welfare benefits. The idea that we need them to save our economy, to import workers because we're committing demographic suicide, doesn't stand up. Most of them are on benefits. They don't have jobs. They bleed the economy. They don't add to the economy. We have the gang rapes. We have the harassment. We have the abuse of women. You now have women in Paris protesting, Eastern Paris, because they can't leave the house dressed in certain clothing without being abused and harassed by gangs of migrant men. We've seen the rapes. We've seen the gang rapes. We had a gang rape in Austria reported just a few days ago. Weekly, at least bi-weekly, we have a gang rape in some small, quaint European town because of this culture that we've imported. In Germany and Italy, they're confiscating private property to house these migrants. In Sweden, the big postal company PostNord announced it would stop mail delivery to the migrant suburb of Rinkeby because it's too unsafe. Social media. Again, if you complain about this, though, you're bad. It's not, don't fix the problem, complain about the people who are complaining about it, put them on a hate crime blacklist. That's what Angela Merkel's main concern was, wasn't it, when she talked to Zuckerberg? How can we stop people criticising this policy? So again, these NGOs that are picking up, it's a virtual taxi service. They're picking them up from the coast of Libya, dumping them into Italy, half go missing. We need to put a stop to this. These NGOs need to be prosecuted. They are currently being investigated by Italian authorities, and hopefully that prosecution will come through. The other positive development in actually stopping this is that Beppe Grillo's Five Star Movement, which is a populist party in Italy, according to recent polls is either tied or has a slender lead over the ruling centre-left party in Italy. And again, this is not just about Italy. This is where the migrants are coming in. This is the major route now. If we stop this, if we plug this leak, we can actually prevent terror attacks. ISIS has bragged about how they're exploiting this to infiltrate fighters into Europe. Support Beppe Grillo's Five Star Movement in Italy like nothing before, because they have a chance of being elected next year in the Italian election. They have promised to stop these NGO boats picking up these migrants, dumping them into Italy. That's one of their campaigns. Beppe Grillo's Five Star Movement. Again, it's not a far-right party, it's a populist party. It's doing extremely well in the polls, and they have a chance of stopping this, of stopping this nightmare that is being inflicted upon Europe. Another expression of which we saw last night in Manchester. But again, it's not just about migrants, it's not just about refugees, it's about these ghettoized areas. People going to mosques, people going to prisons. The radicalization problem in prisons is absolutely endemic. But again, because of political correctness, there's nothing done about it. There's absolutely nothing done about it at every turn. These are the solutions that we need to focus on. I mentioned some of them in my video, which you heard earlier. Okay? So none of the debate is about all Muslims are responsible. The debate is, this is terrible. We cannot let this become the new normal like the media wants us to do. We have to address this. We have to propose concrete solutions to prevent this from happening. Every 9 days now in Europe, there's a terror attack. So the solution is not to shut down people who are actually proposing remedies. That's not the solution, but that's what this political class is pushing, because again, they're beholden to this policy. They created it for their own political machinations. Now they're wedded to it. So they have to demonize anybody who tries to stop that policy as Islamophobic, as racist, but we should not allow this to continue as normal. Another report here, ISIS claims responsibility for Manchester attack, suspect bomber identified again. His parents were Libyan refugees. The UK gave them sanctuary. They gave us a suicide bomber. Gee, thanks. What is happening in these communities? They've carried out controlled explosions in Whalley Range, an area of Manchester, which again has 4 mosques in one area alone. It's not that big an area. 4 mosques. What's happening inside these mosques? Did he attend the mosques? Was he radicalised? We know that he was known to security services, and that's the case in almost every single case, because they're told, oh, you can only track them, you can't actually apprehend them, even though they're radicalised, they're terrorists, they're likely to commit terrorist attacks. This is the situation in Europe. It's absolutely horrific. Something must change beyond virtue signalling and hashtags. We'll be back on the Alex Jones Show Live. Don't go away.
This is Elizabeth.
Joe Biggs here with Infowars.com, and this is an email from Family Gino. I took down my Rebel flag, which you can't buy on eBay anymore, and peeled the NRA sticker off my rear car window. I disconnected my home alarm system and quit the candy-ass neighborhood watch. I bought 2 Pakistani flags and put one at each corner of the front yard. Then I purchased the black flag of ISIS, which you can buy on eBay, and ran it up the flagpole. Now the local police, sheriff, FBI, CIA, NSA, Homeland Security, and other agencies are all watching my house 24/7. I've never felt safer, and I'm saving $69.95 a month that ADT used to charge me. Plus, I bought burqas for my wife and I to wear when we shop or travel. Everyone moves out of the way, and security can't pat us down. If they say I'm a male wearing a burqa, I just say, I'm feeling like a woman today. Hot damn, safe at last. Ain't America great? You can find more reports like this at Infowars.com. This is Joe Biggs.
The reason InfoWars Live has 5-star ratings on major third-party sites is because I want products I'm going to use for my family. I take this. My family takes this. And then it funds the operation with the most hardcore, truthful information you're going to find anywhere. So what you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfoWarsLive.com.
If I ever forget to take them, I have a noticeable difference. I don't feel good. The nascent iodine is one of the ones that was life-changing for me.
Yeah, I have just run out of my super female. I had a few bottles at my house, and I've been taking it again, hitting the gym once again. Very exciting, feeling great, looking good. So, and I know my hair is luxurious once again. So obviously the super female is amazing. I love it.
Nascent iodine is essential. Survival Shield X2. If there's one product that I would say is life-changing that I would suggest, it's Nascent iodine Survival Shield X2. It's got a 5-star rating.
It's a win-win. InfoWarsLife.com.
Men, give your body the support it needs with InfoWars Life Prostagard. It's time to start assisting the body in regulating proper prostate balance. InfoWars Life has set out to bring you formulations that are not only the highest quality out there, but formulas that you can use on a daily basis to give your body the natural herbs and extracts that our experts recommend. The Prostagard formula does just that, with its mixture of plant-based nutrients and antioxidants that help give your body total support. It's a hand-selected blend of saw palmetto, lycopene, plant sterols, zinc, vitamin D3, selenium, and copper. Prostagard is something that the men on the InfoWars crew take every day. And from our research, it's something that men should really be adding to their daily regimen in order to keep their body going at optimal levels. Now's the time to start naturally supporting your body. Get Prostagard on your side today, exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.
We're live. It's the final segment of the Alex Jones Show, 4th hour. I want to direct you to the specials at InfoWarsStore.com because, again, very few outlets will actually have the temerity to tell you the truth about the aftermath of situations like Manchester. You know, the sheer hate and oppression that is inflicted upon us simply for telling the truth about this. There are powerful forces that don't want you to hear this information. We've been so effective in red-pilling a generation. They're terrified of us, and we couldn't do it without you. We need your support because we're constantly on the edge of being censored. We have to fight it day by day. Eventually, they could just kick us off all these different platforms. We would be solely relying on you, as we have been from the beginning. So please support us by getting the specials. We have the Support Patriot Media special. This is the Memorial Day mega special, now live at InfoWarsStore.com for a limited time. You can get Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver at 65% off retail. Huge discount. Super Male Vitality back in stock now at 30% off retail. We have Survival Shield 40% off. Brain Force 47% off. Secret 12 Knockout 50 and 43% off. All InfoWars Trump shirts 75% off retail. So huge discounts right now at InfoWarsStore.com. We also have the new Emmerich Essentials line of organic household products. Again, you're going to buy these products anyway, so why not get them from us and support this network? We have the non-nano SPF zinc oxide sunscreen, deep free herbal bug spray, concentrated peppermint mouthwash, pure and scented body wash, the shampoo, the tea tree shampoo, and the natural deodorant, and much more at InfoWarsStore.com. Save money and stop exposing yourself and your family to toxic ingredients. Visit InfoWarsStore.com to get the new line of Emmerich's Essentials. Great organic products, which you're going to use anyway, so why not get them from us? Available right now at InfoWarsStore.com. We need your continued support. Now let's just finish off here. Moving on to Seth Rich news, of course. Last week we had a private investigator come out and claim that from his sources he knew that Seth Rich was the source of the DNC leaks. That got poo-pooed. There was a pushback against that. Was he threatened? We don't know. Now, Kim.com, who of course was the founder of Mega Upload, teased this yesterday by coming out and saying that he knew for a fact that Seth Rich, not Russia, Seth Rich, the murdered DNC staffer, was the source of the DNC leak. Now he's released a statement on his website saying, quote, "I know this because in late 2014 a person contacted me about helping me to start a branch of the Internet Party in the United States. He called himself Panda. I now know that Panda was Seth Rich." Of course, that's the icon, that's the avatar that he used on his different accounts. He continues, "Panda advised me that he was working on voter analytics tools and other technologies that the Internet Party may find helpful." So he was disenfranchised. Of course, Bernie Sanders, who he supported, was screwed over. That was his motivation. He was in contact with Kim.com. Now, Kim.com continues in this statement, "I've consulted with my lawyers. I accept my full statement should be provided to the authorities." So he says he's prepared to do that. "If my evidence is required to be given in the US, I would be prepared to do so. If appropriate arrangements are made, I would need a guarantee from Special Counsel Mueller on behalf of the United States safe passage, given that his house has been raided before from New Zealand to the United States and back." So now he's saying he will give that evidence of Seth Rich being the source of the DNC leaks to a special prosecution. Will it come out, or will they clamp down on it? They are absolutely terrified in DC, the establishment swamp, of this coming out. Will it finally come to light, proving that Seth Rich was the source of the DNC leaks, derailing the whole Trump-Russia narrative? That's going to wrap it up for this segment of the Alex Jones Show. Nightly news coming up. Breaking news at Infowars.com.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
Joe Biggs here with Infowars.com, and this is an email from Family Gino. I took down my Rebel flag, which you can't buy on eBay anymore, and peeled the NRA sticker off my rear car window. I disconnected my home alarm system and quit the candy-ass neighborhood watch. I bought 2 Pakistani flags and put one at each corner of the front yard. Then I purchased the black flag of ISIS, which you can buy on eBay, and ran it up the flagpole. Now the local police, sheriff, FBI, CIA, NSA, Homeland Security, and other agencies are all watching my house 24/7. I've never felt safer, and I'm saving $69.95 a month that ADT used to charge me. Plus, I bought burqas for my wife and I to wear when we shop or travel. Everyone moves out of the way, and security can't pat us down. If they say I'm a male wearing a burqa, I just say, I'm feeling like a woman today. Hot damn, safe at last. Ain't America great? You can find more reports like this at Infowars.com. This is Joe Biggs.
leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order. It's Alex Jones.
San Leon with Chevy.
Infowars.com News Center, deep behind enemy lines in occupied Texas, broadcasting worldwide. You're listening to the voice of human resistance against the technotronic technocracy takeover. You're listening to Alex Jones.
The suicide bomber's been identified. His handiwork, Salman Abedi, 23. Tens of thousands of jihadists have poured into Europe. Here's some of their handiwork last night when the country that welcomed them with open arms was attacked.